What is going on YouTube? Hayden back making another brand new crypto TV episode. In today's video we have quite a bit to discuss, I believe. We're going to be looking at Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, Litecoin, but I also want to discuss with you an article that was posted by CNBC in regards to Bitcoin maybe posed for a huge breakout. They're calling Bitcoin to $250,000 by 2022. Quite interesting. I thought we should discuss that because that is a massive claim or a massive prediction that CNBC is discussing. I also want to go over our previous videos, ones where we discussed the XRP and Bitcoin. I titled in a major pump fake, and I want to continue off that basis because I do think it's fairly similar to what we're seeing right now, and I do think it does have some relevance in regards to where we could be seeing Bitcoin's chart move to. I also want to show you guys on Bitcoin that I am still fairly bearish in the next upcoming days because I do think we are posed to be breaking down lower and then eventually see that rally to the upside. Now, obviously, if you guys are new to the channel, definitely make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, leave a giant thumbs up, and let's jump into today's episode. Before we jump into the technical analysis, I want to give a huge shout out to today's continued sponsor, as most of you should know, Bitmins. Guys, Bitmins is an awesome digital collectible, as well as it being tradable, unique, and pretty smart in regards to the fact that it runs off Ethereum blockchain. What this means is that they are a one-of-one collectible. Each one that is created is the only one allowed, similar to cryptocurrency. Once one Bitcoin is made, that's it, and they are really no others once they're all into circulation, and it's pretty much like mining gold. This is pretty much what they're doing in regards to the same thing like an actual diamond. Digital diamonds is basically a unique way to make a collectible that's based on blockchain technology. Now, I know you guys hear me fumbling around, but what's the actual value of this? I thought I would show you guys my Bitmins because my Bitmins have grown substantially over the past couple of months. You can see right here that on my Bitmins homepage, this is my Bitmins actually right here, you'll notice that you can see a ton of my Bitmins and you can see outrageous prices right here. Now, I've been partnered with Bitmins, or I've actually started using Bitmins ever since February, the end of February of 2019, and you can see the substantial growth all of these Bitmins have had. Now, I was a little shaky about a company like this. It sounded like a good plan, but I wasn't sure if I would actually get my return on my investment back, but it turns out I did, and that's why I wanted to present this to you guys. Basically, guys, you can see right here off of just these couple of Bitmins that they've actually had a return or an ROI of over 3,000%. Absolutely wild considering you can get Bitmins for only $10. You can see that in the upcoming months, about I would say 11 months, I've grown over 3,000% from $10 to $329. You can see right here we also have ones. This one is just recently purchased November 29th, the end of November of 2019, and you can see it's grown 113% in literally just around a month. You can see 113%. I bought it at $10, currently $21.38. Absolutely awesome. They grow in value over time based on their rarity and based on the fact that once these are created, this first round of Bitmins are created, that's pretty much it. They hit the Bitmins they hit the marketplace where you guys can actually buy these original Bitmins, and those will obviously grow at a much faster rate or higher rate than the ones that are being generated right now, because you're kind of hit or miss in regards to what rarity and purity you're going to be getting. So that's pretty awesome. I wanted to shout them out. Huge shout out to them. I'm also going to be showing you guys in another episode how exactly I sell them. We'll pick one, probably one of the $300 ones, and I will click right here, we'll click sell, and I'll sell them, and I'll show you the process of exactly how that works. I thought that was quite interesting, and I know a lot of you guys have had that question too. Once again, huge shout out to Bitmins for sponsoring today's episode. Make sure to check out the link in the description if you want to snag a couple of Bitmins yourself. Otherwise, let's jump into the technical analysis. So guys, you can see the past 2 or 3 episodes we've been discussing obviously the massive break to the downside, the correction lower. We've also been discussing the very interesting play, and then we discussed that we corrected back inside what appears to be our massive symmetrical triangle or some sort of descending fractal that's on the market, and I thought I would continue off of that basis. You can see in today's current market, we're pretty much just floating right now. We're floating up, really nothing to be super proud of. We're just consolidating on a slight angle to the upside. You can see right here, and it's pretty much been hoisting the market around 1 to maybe 82% at that. But otherwise, when I jump into the technical analysis on XRP and Bitcoin, I noticed a few things, and I wanted to tie this in with the article, or the video, sorry, that CNBC posted in regards to, you can see right here what it says. Front Strats Tom Lee says Bitcoin could be posed for a huge breakout, with CNBC's Brian Sullivan and the fast money traders Pete Najarian, blah, 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 blah. If you get to buy crypto, you'll have, okay, that's irrelevant. But you can see this is the chart they pulled up. Now, I can't play the video for copyright reasons with the sound on, but I pulled a quick snippet out of here that I thought you guys would find fairly interesting. At least I did. So right here, you can see that big Bitcoin bounce. He's showing you guys a chart that Bitcoin has been having on ever since 2013. He's not really charting the 2009. He started at 2013 up until right now. And you can see he's showing some sort of ascending fractal or ascending wedge or channel. And you can see every time he's touching the points and every time we hit the bottom, we tend to break out in a sharp move. Now, it's like a hit or miss right here because I was actually trying to chart this on TradingView and I was having a little bit of trouble. But you also have to consider a couple of things. When we did hit here, probably in 2014, all we did was consolidate up a slow rise to the upside, still an uptrend, but it was a slow gradual increase to here, unlike this massive breakout we had in 2017. But you can see we've had 4 points of contact, which indicates another rise to the upside. And I agree with that. I agree we are going to see some sort of bullish break to the upside very soon, but I do believe, like a lot of YouTubers are starting to push out, is that we're going to see some sort of reversal or correction to the downside before we see that major break to the upside. Now, when I pull up Bitcoin's chart, I was trying to graph this and I'm trying to figure out, well, how does this work? How could I see this move? And I decided to pull out something which is quite interesting, but when I started to track this from right here and I drew this uptrend, I'm trying to line it all up. So you can see we have this lined up fairly nice, and when we align this with here, you can see that makes a lot of sense. And if I extend this outwards, you can see a very interesting pattern starts to appear. You'll notice what's quite interesting is in the fact that we've had our previous support uptrend right here, we've had this break to the downside, which has had this bottom support, and then what's interesting is we have the same similarity in symmetrical triangles. We can have this one that showed you guys what is most likely going to happen here, and you'll notice the bottom is about the same dip that we've been calculating. So this correction to the downside, this 30% drop, is about the same level as where the long, massive uptrend from all the way back in 2016 originated. It's pretty much almost identical with where the price will be ultimately retracing to or correcting to in the near future. And I found that quite interesting because a lot of people are saying we're probably just going to blast off from here. Obviously, I'm not going to throw out that idea. That is still an option. But honestly, the way these charts are aligning, there's very, very, very high chance we are going to correct to the downside for, a numerous couple of reasons. Now, I am on the weekly chart, and I do think that's also fairly important for you guys. Notice a couple of things, and I'll talk about XRP in a second because I know that's a big focus for you guys. So we saw this correction to the downside. We did, and we are on a weekly channel right now. We are on the weekly chart. You can see this weekly candle right here. Seems to be like the last candle for Bitcoin's chart before we end up deciding which direction to move to. Now, a lot of you guys are saying, oh, well, the break to the downside isn't over yet. Or sorry, the break to the downside is over. We're actually moving higher. You're wrong. We need to go higher. And I think there's still some possibility that we could be heading lower that a lot of you guys are canceling out. Yes, when looking at this on the 4-hour or the daily, which we will in a second, there is a higher chance that it looks like we're back inside the game and we're going to head higher. But when you look at the weekly, this is all happening within one candle. We didn't close this candle and start a new candle indicating an upside or an uptrend. We're still within the same freaking candle, and that's what's massive right now. You can see what's happening is we do have, which is, it hasn't happened a candle like this on the weekly in months on months on months, if not years from now. But you can see we're similarly right here. But in regards to the point of impact within the high-low MMA, it has not happened in a very long time. So you can see a couple of things right now. You can see we've had a ton of wick right here where we've seen prices as low as $6,400. And I do believe we're going to head back down there. Don't want to jinx the market. But you can see we have swung back up right here, and we're still still, which is oddly enough, using the high-low MMA, this green band as a support. It is a very strong support, especially on the weekly. It is a massive, massive, massive support. So if indeed we do decide this week, I think the candle closes Sunday, which is in 2 days, we're going to see whether or not we can correct below here and close the candle below here, ultimately indicating in the fact that we're probably going to see a big reversal. Or if we, wow, did not mean to move that. I wish I could put that back. I think it was right around here. Okay, ultimately signaling a reversal to the downside. If we can stay above here, we're going to open a next candle, and that's going to be pretty much the juggernaut per se. This is going to be the last candle, ultimately deciding which direction Bitcoin is going to choose. If we're going to break bullish, there's obviously a ton of resistance in the way. We have our $7,600 resistance, which they also talked about in many articles, being that this is where the cap is. You can see where we had that reversal right here. You can see previous resistances here. It's not as strong, but the market is signaling that if we can get above this resistance, it'll act as a support. Very hard move considering we do have the downtrend, but you'll notice the price is literally so, there's so much pressure, so much bearish pressure, so much bullish pressure. There seems to be more bearish pressure considering we corrected all the way down to here, but the bulls are still fighting back. That's what's holding us right inside of here. But, if we can close this candle below here, there's a very high chance, I want to say 85%, we're going to correct lower. If we can close in here, then we're going to open next week's candle, and that's going to be the ultimate factor, whether we're going to shoot up, break above 7,600, which will be huge. I'll turn my my short position on DueDEX into a long position with leverage on that, and we'll make quite a bit of money heading up. Or if we do break bearish, I'm good to go, and I'll probably short even more as we continue to correct downwards. But ultimately, we're at a point right now where there's so much pressure on the market. It's literally a hit or miss right now in which direction we go. I'm honestly more on the we're going to head lower side, but there's obviously that position and that chance we can break higher too. So I'm super excited. I do believe we're going to see this correction down to here, but without spreading FUD, and I don't even consider that to be FUD because we can obviously short the crypto here on DueDEX. But to continue into Litecoin and Ethereum, because I've made a couple of adjustments, and then we'll talk about XRP too, because I do believe that these will ultimately influence XRP. And I need you guys to understand that, yes, I like to do technical analysis on XRP, but when you look at XRP, you have to consider that it has a direct correlation with Bitcoin, with Litecoin, with Ethereum. When those coins move, XRP moves with it, and vice versa. So when I graph Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, it has a direct impact on the price of XRP. Now you can see XRP right now is still floating. We did still correct lower. So for those of you that, were watching my XRP technical analysis, and also just to throw this out there, I did speak to the managers over at DueDEX, and they are adding some other altcoins to trade on here. They asked me for reference what I should do, and I said XRP, Litecoin, and Ethereum. So hopefully they add those to here, and then obviously we'll have a lot more fun in regards to shorting XRP. Probably be one of the first times we can actually short XRP that I'm aware of with this amount of ease. But otherwise, to continue on XRP, you can see we still had our dip. Bitcoin did manage to actually break higher than where we started. I can pull that up on the daily. That was still a shocker to me that we broke bearish from here, starting at 7120, hit 64, and then came all the way up to 7400. But XRP has ultimately broken bearish. It broke below its 20 cents, and I don't think we're going to see it above 20 cents for quite a couple weeks, honestly. A lot more consolidation, ultimately retesting 16 cents before we see any sort of potential break to the upside. And I think that also aligns very well with Bitcoin. Now, I do want to discuss Litecoin and Ethereum because I made a quick change on Ethereum's chart. Notice how on Litecoin's daily, we do have a major descending fractal. We're below the high-low MMA. There's a ton of pressure, ultimately indicating of a potential pop to the upside. Definitely a very big possibility. When you look at these, you want to consider that we're close to being oversold. We look like we're going to have a bullish cross on the daily, but you can see we're in a massive descending fractal. And we had those opportunities many, many, many times in the past. We've had it here, we've had it here, and we do have those rallies up. But the fact that we're kind of hitting the top right now is a very odd indication. But I did switch the chart on Ethereum. We used to have this a lot wider. We had it a lot bigger. I had it down here, but I just kind of swung it back up, and it ultimately looks exactly like Litecoin does. You can't really tell the difference now between Litecoin and Ethereum. And I'm honestly going to leave this here. With this being drawn, obviously, when you compare it to the breakout that Bitcoin had, we did fumble lower. We broke bearish, we consolidated downwards, we hit our bottom support, and we had a small uptick to the upside. But honestly, I think we're capped off right now. I mean, a lot of these cryptos look like they have potential to swing up higher, but I honestly think we're going to be heading a slight bit lower. Now, obviously, regardless of which direction we break, we're going to be making money off of here on DueDEX. If we see any confirmation above our white resistance band right here, we're going to be buying in, and we're going to see an immediate run up to 170, easily up to 180 if not higher. Same thing goes with Litecoin. Litecoin could break and we could easily hit $55 to $61, which is an ultimate gain of about a 60% jump. So that's something to consider as well. But ultimately, when you look at Bitcoin and then you look at XRP, they look like they're going to be heading lower. And even if XRP does somehow see a massive break to 23 cents, it's going to be capped off right here, and we're going to see that consolidation right back down to around 16 cents until it completes its massive descending triangle. That's what's really overtaking XRP. Bitcoin, the same thing goes, with the way this chart's looking, and Bitcoin is obviously the leading factor right here. It looks so peculiar and just so perfect that there's a very high chance we're going to head lower. When I have these charts pulled up, hopefully you can see what it is that I'm referring to. We have our uptrend. We have this is an uptrend that has been started since 2016. And when you look at the YouTube video, he's had it all the way since 2013. So when you consider that all in all, we've had this for quite a long time now. We had our numerous touches. We had the start here. We had this break to the downside. It looks like we're going to be heading for a third one to the downside, or a second major correction to the downside. They're both intertwined. What's interesting too is when we looked at this all the way back in 2017, and I remembered this, we looked like we were inside the high-low MMA. We were inside the high-low MMA, but you have to consider that we did have this bearish cross here, which is a bear signal on the high-low MMA. And you can see what's also interesting is the fact that we were trading in between here, and I was probably saying there's a chance we could break this and shoot up because we're trading inside of here, but we ultimately broke bearish. The same scenario is happening right now. Now, obviously, they're a lot closer. There's a slight chance we could see that correction to the upside, but we're still in a bearish market. You can see with this trend right here. Obviously, like I said, they came a lot closer, but there still is that chance of correction downwards. We honestly even showed it with this candle, extreme pump fake. I personally do believe it is a pump fake, unlike other videos, but I do believe this is a correction lower. So, I mean, people would assume it's not when they look at Ethereum's chart and Litecoin. When you look at Litecoin's chart, it wasn't a pump fake because it broke bearish from a massive support, corrected lower, hit bottom, hit a longer, our descending support, and then we just corrected back upwards and hit a cap. But on Bitcoin, we did have a pump fake. This is literally the last moment to kind of get in or get out. And for those of you that haven't invested yet, I'd be wait for that confirmation. If you can close this candle below, we're going to head lower. We can break above here. We're probably going to be heading higher. For me, since I'm already invested in DueDEX, I have a very small position open. I'm only down about $46 right now, which is a small loss, and I don't really care about that because if we do break very low, I'm going to make a heck of a lot more than $40 off of here, and a $46 loss to me I accept that. So we're only down quite a tiny bit. There's a very high chance, like I said, that we're going to fall lower, but that's pretty much going to wrap up today's video, guys. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, leave a giant thumbs up, and once again, huge shout out to Bitmins for sponsoring today's episode. Their link is in the description of the video. Peace.